Apparently, Dick Masterson and VIto had a falling out. If you don't know who they are, oh my gosh, there's a lot of lore on this stuff. But these two are the primary people who built up this like anti-Eric July culture for a while. Now, I happen to like VIto, and I think Dick Masterson is a bad influence on everybody, a complete scumbag with absolutely no purpose out there. And he does just spur this sort of thing. His entire shtick is blood sports, and that's exactly what's going on. It's been hurting independent comics as a result. So I'm kind of glad VIto's got away from him in a way. Because VIto is about to be coming out with his book called Super Killer, which was funded on Indiegogo a while back. Now, if you don't know, again, who VIto is a YouTuber and online kind of serial troll from a long time ago, and he makes comedy videos, best known for his I Vaped Belle Delphine's Bathwater video that made him propelled into stardom in some ways. While Dick Masterson comes from kind of the Gamergate era and of course, got into blood sports, fighting with Ethan Ralph and the like, and that kind of evaporated several years ago. Now, they made a little cottage industry by attacking Eric July's books for a while, and VIto was selling his own book and kind of selling it off the backs of that. Dick Masterson doesn't create anything, is a totally useless, functionless human being, and so now he is, of course, going at VIto because they, like I said, falling out, and now his attacks on VIto are a thing. So as you can see, he's saying, after seeing Super Killer on Frog Tony's show last night, I think this convo would be more interesting. I'm going to objectively try to figure out which is better, Super Killer or Isom, and I think it's going to be harder than it sounds. Now, Dick Masterson has continued on and on, going off on VIto's book over and over and over again, and he's doing the same thing that he was doing to Eric July. It's going to be a big, vicious cancel circle, and it's caused a lot of rifts within ComicsGate because ComicsGate is all about canceling people, and they're waiting for the next blood sport. They're waiting for who the next person Ethan Van Sciver says he's going to cancel. That's all they do over there. And that's why we're building a different movement over here, because we should be about books first. Now, I did back Super Killer, and of course, VIto's still playing into this a little bit, which I don't like that VIto's playing into that, and I'll talk about that in a moment as well. But hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things in comics, of course, especially in the independent comic scene, where it matters. And look, where these guys, a lot of them were trying to talk about building a different movement outside of mainstream comics, where mainstream comics is toxic. It's all about cancel culture all the time. It's all about crazy leftist politics all the time. And then, of course, they went around and did the same thing. Cancel Eric July. Cancel culture over and over and over. Leftist politics over and over and over. And that's exactly what they've been doing while they're not creating comic books. It's some ways worse than the comic industry, what ComicsGate has become, because they don't actually ever come out with their books. Now, we've been quietly kind of just doing something a little bit different. I don't spend my time live streaming or anything like that. I spend my time making books. Imagine that. That's what I spend almost all of my day doing every single day. And we've been building a log of just a lot of books out there. We've got fantasy books. We've got sci-fi books. We've got superhero books. We've got black and white books. We've got manga influence books. We've got Western influences books. We've got classics influence books, because I really want to do a little bit of everything. And that's what Stan Lee and the gang used to do back in the day. They did a little bit of everything, and they really did a lot of different work. And so that's it. I'm putting my heart and soul into the work, and I'm glad you're here, because I know that those movements promised a lot. We've been actually delivering this entire time. Now, what I want you to do today is sign up for my JDA Comics Substack. This has garnered over 1,000 people signed up over the last couple of months since I've been promoting it, so thank you for being here. What we're doing is a couple of things. One, I'm posting a page a day from my Flying Sparks series, my seminal series, which, of course, a Hugo Award-nominated editor said is the best superhero stories of the last decade. I mean, that's pretty high praise for a pretty high up there person. Very interesting stuff on that level. And of course, you probably just didn't hear of it because ComicsGate doesn't promote books. They don't like people who actually come out with books on a regular, right? And so this is something that's been going on for a while. I've got a lot of series coming up as well. And I'm posting a page at a time because I've seen the webcomic community. And webcomics are a much healthier community because it's about the art. It's about the creativity. It's about doing things in comics. And, of course, that's a great thing. So what I want you to do is sign up here, start reading. And then once you start reading, there's exclusive comics on here. You see Astromancer. That's an exclusive comics that's available only to paid subscribers. On top of that, I've got Extra Sensory, which is only available to paid subscribers. Actually give more comic content than anybody else out there in the independent scene, and we're crushing it, thanks to readers like you. So you can sign up. You can read the free content, and then here's the deal. This is what webcomics do and how they make their living. They get patrons of the arts. A lot of these webcomics, just single comics, have thousands of subscribers who pay like in a Patreon and what that to keep the artist going so that the artist can, of course, just produce these. And that's the goal here. We want to build a sustainable ecosystem that's all about comics. And I'm very excited for it. I know it's a different ball game in here. You guys are used to something very, very different in these circles. But as we build this, you're going to see that this is a much better model, and we're going to really make the comic industry great again. So sign up for this in the description below. Appreciate it. I have a web store, and if you want to grab my physical books, they're always available for you as well, because I want to get everybody reading. I've got novels and I've got comics up in my web store, as well as t-shirts and the like. So you can check these out and support our channel. We're building great, and I appreciate everybody who is, of course, picking these up and reading all the books. Those are in the description below. Lots of ways to support, and thank you for being here. All right. So as we got into this, as I said, VIto is finally coming out with his Super Killer book. Now, it's been a joke again, as this book's taken a couple of years to make, as VIto's gone along. Kind of did this ComicsGate meme where, of course, the book was never coming out, never coming out, never coming out. Well, it's finally coming out. The book is going to print. It's done, and apparently digital copies have gone out and the like. I don't know where mine is. I did back this. I don't know if VIto's giving it to certain people or whatever's happened, or if he sent it to some email address. I don't know what it is. I have not been able to read this yet. I will review it because, it seems to be a hot, contentious thing to review this right now. My gut feeling on this book is that it's going to be very good. VIto understands writing. He's done film work before, which is script work. He's done comedic work before, and this is a comedic sort of thing. And so, and I've talked to him about this in the past. Like when he was actually first talking about this book, he would send me outlines. He would send me concept art. He would send me concept sort of scribbles that he was writing about the storyline and the like, and it all looked pretty good. I was like, this is a neat idea. It really is. And so I think he has talent beyond a lot of what these other people actually have. A lot of the people in ComicsGate are not writers. People like Ethan Van Sciver are draftsmen who just copy other people's characters, right? And that's what they get. Oh, I drew Green Lantern with a giant bulge in his pants. Wow, that's amazing. Please clap for me. That's kind of what they are. They're not really creatives out there, but VIto definitely is a creative. And so I think this is something that is going to be a pretty good book. But we'll find out. As soon as I get a copy of that, I will review it for you, as I said, because I think it's very important to have that kind of thing for independent comics out here. Now, Dick Masterson's obviously doing this and is quote reviewing it, and as VIto says, you will say ISOM is better because you think that this manufactured controversy is good for podcasting. Unfortunately, the audience is growing sick of it, and I think the audience is growing sick of it. Dick Masterson's numbers are down. VIto's numbers, of course, went down. Ethan Van Sciver's numbers went down. Nobody wants to watch that kind of stuff anymore because it's just so painful, except for these like terminally online spurgs that, like, of course, are sycophants of Dick Masterson and Ethan Van Sciver, who don't buy comics and don't read comics. They don't know anything about comics either. VIto then says either that, or you'll say that Super Killer is slightly better, but both of them are trash, and no YouTuber should ever make comic books. This is the most likely scenario. As you can see, Dick Masterson's already going on this. People are making these like, here's Super Killer notes. He already did ISOM reviews, Super Killer notes. Gun can hold 3 shots is vague and useless, etc. And then he's like, it's clearly a mistake. The gun shot's 3 shots. Okay, cool. That's an interesting story device. 4 shots in the story. It's a mistake. And he's just going in and autistically going in on things and just drilling into just like panel by panel the stupidest things. And that's what I see with a lot of these reviews. There's a lot of just like hyper-focused autism of what would I write, and that actually doesn't help whether it's a good story or not. Most people don't sit there and just like hyper stare at every single panel looking for like a flaw in like the way the finger is drawn or things like that. Most people read comics like they read a story, and they just read through it real quick and go, okay, cool, and I like these characters or I don't like these characters. That is the typical way you read things, but these people do not do that, and they're continuing as they're going along, and here's his notes, I guess. Is this a video or is it, Super Killer 1 notes. And as you can see, it's an autistic screed of all these things. Like I said, I have not read the book yet, so I'm not going to spoil it and go into that. But you see exactly what's going on. Now, VIto is giving into some of this like ComicsGate drama sort of thing while he's decrying the ComicsGate drama at the same time, and I do have to call that out because if I beat Yellow Flash, this is officially the funniest timeline. I don't know what's funny about that. Yellow Flash has a concept that's very near and dear to his heart. That's very, very much a Power Rangers inspired sort of thing in a manga style that is very very much apart from a lot of the what people typically do in books in these sort of things. People either do kind of funny parody books or they do these 90s looking X-Men books for this audience. And so Yellow Flash is out there doing something different, a little more creative than everybody else again. And so with that, he has his book, but this book sold a lot of books. And you got to remember that VIto's been selling this book for 2+ years. So yeah, Yellow Flash has been at it 2 months, and he's got a lot more books sold for lower prices. On top of that, Yellow Flash's total here that it puts up does not include shipping or anything like that. So you got to add another $30,000-$40,000 to that total to actually look up to what it looks like on Indiegogo for something like VIto's book. So it's silly. He's not really going to beat it, but he's going to beat the way that it's done. Now, I've talked about, I don't like that Eric's July's website does this, not include shipping. I think it should show the shipping total, because every other crowdfunding site shows the, and I know they have autistic words about crowdfunding too, but whatever, it is crowdfunding. Every other crowdfunding site does show the shipping, and so when you've got a thing that doesn't show apples to apples, I think it's a detriment to the person out there. Because the whole point of showing it from a marketing perspective is to show you're a giant success. Because this is how it works. Once you're a success, you go, I've funded in 24 hours. And you see this on Kickstarter all the time. And with that, you go, okay, I'm a super success. And then people back it because it's a success already. Because they don't want to back a book that's not a success. So if you take out the shipping, which is what Eric July does on Ripasend, and it shows less of a success, you actually give in to this book's not as much of a success and actually deter backers away from that. There's no point to showing the totals other than for marketing. So you should add that in there for that reason. That is the absolute truth on that level. So sad that VIto, don't give into this kind of thing about Yellow Flash or whatever. I backed both of these books, and I think both of them are going to be very, very good and very competently done. And I think that, of course, there are disingenuous a-holes like Dick Masterson out there, but you've been a little too influenced about them, of course, trying to mock Yellow Flash on this level to try to garner a little more ComicsGate support. Now, ComicsGate is very divided on VIto. Ethan Van Sciver's tried to, of course, be nice to VIto at some points, but at other points, his audience just goes hard against him. It's saying just all sorts of nasty things all the time because they want him. They want VIto to be the next guy on the chopping block, for VIto to be the next canceled guy. At some point, it's probably going to happen because Ethan Van Sciver is just the same Bloodsport scumbag that Dick Masterson does, and so he just wants to talk about things right now. Now, he's given a positive review to Superkiller, but his reviews are never ingenuous either. The only reason he did that was, of course, to knock Eric July and say it's better than Isom and the like. And so it's just like a roll your eye kind of thing. Ethan Van Sciver doesn't know a good comic if it hit him in the head, and it's really, really sad. But yes, we'll review it when we get it. Like I said, I think VIto's book's going to be good. I think Yellow Flash's book's going to be good. And so I'm excited for these independent comics, and I'm glad that these guys are, of course, making their own stuff. And, I'm glad that he got away from Dick Masterson, because Dick Masterson is just a cancer upon the indie comics community. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Do check out our Substack. Sign up here in the description below. Thanks for the 1,000+ people who have done so far. Really appreciate it. We're growing so good, and it's amazing. Please check out the books on the web store as well. This is all about reading books and independent comics, guys. And I know, I get the same 5 trolls going, oh, he talked about his books for 2 minutes. Oh, no. Yeah, that's the whole point of this channel. So that's what we're doing. We're building comics. Appreciate you being here. We'll be back soon.